Welcome back to Grammar Grade 10. This is Unit 11, Lesson 71, and today we're taking on one of the most useful marks in all of punctuation, the colon. Two little dots stacked one above the other, and they carry a surprising amount of power. Learn what the colon promises, and learn the one condition it insists on, and you'll never misuse it again. Let's dig in. Let's meet the colon. Picture a gate across a road with a guard who steps aside and says, "Here it comes." That is exactly what a colon does. It announces what follows. Look at this sentence. Bring three things: a map, a lamp, and water. The colon stands there like a gate, and everything after it delivers on the promise the sentence just made. Notice how different that is from a comma. A comma makes an announcement of nothing. It just takes a small breath. A colon makes an announcement, and then it pays that announcement off. So hold on to this picture for the whole lesson. A colon always points forward. The most common job of the colon is to introduce a list. Very often, the sentence sets that list up with a signal word, words like these, the following, or as follows. Here's one. Pack the following items: a compass, a rope, and matches. The phrase, the following items, makes a promise, and the colon delivers on it. Here's another. Three rivers meet here: the Ash, the Vale, and the Wren. The sentence tells you a number, 3, and then the colon opens the gate and names them one by one. So when you spot these, the following, or as follows, get ready for a colon. Now the rule that trips up almost everybody, so listen closely. The words in front of the colon must form a complete sentence, a group of words that could stand on its own with a period at the end. Look at the good one. We brought three things: a map, a lamp, and water. Cover the colon and everything after it. What is left? We brought three things. That is a whole sentence. It stands on its own 2 feet. Now the broken one. We brought a map, a lamp, and water. Cover the colon again and you're left with we brought, which is not a sentence at all. It is a subject and a verb still reaching for something. So here's your test, and it takes 2 seconds. Cover the colon and ask whether the left side can stand alone. That test explains the one mistake you must never make. Do not drop a colon right after a verb, and do not drop one right after a preposition. Here's the first. The kit contains rope, tape, and wire. That colon is sitting directly behind the verb contains, and contains is still hungry. It is reaching for its objects. Here's the second. I hiked with Nora, Diego, and Sam. This time, the colon sits directly behind the preposition with, and with is waiting for its object too. Both sentences are wrong, and the fix is beautifully simple. Just delete the colon. The kit contains rope, tape, and wire. I hiked with Nora, Diego, and Sam. Or, if you really want your colon, finish the sentence first. The kit contains 3 items: rope, tape, and wire. Now the left side stands alone, and the colon has earned its place. A colon also introduces a long or formal quotation. When you are quoting something weighty, a speech, a proclamation, a line from an old document, a comma can feel far too casual for the job. Reach for the colon instead. Watch this. The mayor closed with these words: "We build for those who come after us." Notice the signal once again, these words. Formal quotations are often announced with this, these, or as follows, and that phrase is your cue that a colon is coming. A short, chatty quote can still take a comma, but when the quotation is long or formal, the colon gives it the weight it deserves. Here is a use that good writers love. A colon can join a second main clause to the first, a clause that explains the first one or sums it up. Listen, the reason was simple. Nobody had checked the map. The first part makes a claim. The second part hands you the reason behind it. The colon means, in effect, that is to say. Now this one. The result was clear. The bridge would not hold. Again, the second clause pays off the first, only this time by summing it up in a single stroke. 2 quick notes. First, the words before the colon still have to be a complete sentence. That rule never sleeps. Second, when a full sentence follows a colon, we usually begin it with a lowercase letter. Finally, a handful of conventional uses, places where the colon is simply the custom. First, between the hour and the minute of a precise time. 7:45 in the morning is written with a colon between the 7 and the 4:05, and a flight boarding at 6:20 gets the same treatment. Second, after the salutation of a business letter, Dear Ms. Okafor, followed by a colon. A friendly note to a friend takes a comma, but a business letter takes a colon. Third, between the chapter and the verse in a scripture reference, like Exodus 3:14. And fourth, between a title and its subtitle, as in Rivers, A Short History. These 4 are not rules you reason your way to. They are conventions, so just tuck them into memory. In this first set, each sentence has a blank where a colon might belong. Run the test. Cover the blank and ask whether the left side is a complete sentence. Pause the video and choose before I reveal each answer. The tank holds 3 fish, blank, a guppy, a tetra, and a molly. Cover the blank and read what is on the left. The tank holds 3 fish. That stands alone as a complete sentence, so the gate is allowed to open. The answer is colon. My backpack holds blank, a notebook, a pen, and an apple. Cover the blank. My backpack holds. That is not a sentence. The verb holds is still waiting for its objects. A colon can never come straight after a verb like that. The answer is no colon. We shared the ride with blank, Anna, Theo, and Ruth. The blank sits directly after the preposition with, and with is still reaching for its object. A colon never follows a preposition, so the answer here is no colon. Now every sentence already has its colon in place. Your job is to name the work it is doing. Is it opening a list, introducing a quotation, explaining the clause before it, or simply following a convention? Pause and decide before each answer. The plan was risky. Half the crew had never sailed. Ask what walks through the gate. It is not a list of items. It is a full clause, and it tells you exactly why the plan was risky. So this colon explains the first clause. Dear Mr. Alvarez, colon. Nothing is being introduced here at all. No list, no quotation, no explaining clause. This is simply the custom for the greeting of a business letter. So it is a conventional use, the salutation. Bring the following gear: boots, gloves, and a helmet. Listen for the signal, the following. And what arrives after the colon? 3 items lined up side by side. This colon introduces a list. Let's gather it all up. A colon is a gate that announces what follows. It can open a list, it can hand you a long or formal quotation, and it can lead into a second clause that explains or sums up the first. But the gate comes with one condition, and this is the thing to remember above all else. The words before the colon must form a complete sentence. Never set a colon straight after a verb or a preposition. Cover the colon and make sure the left side can stand on its own. And keep the conventions in your pocket: the time, the business salutation, chapter and verse, and a title with its subtitle. In our next lesson, we'll meet the colon's close cousin, the semicolon. I'll see you there.